Joining me today is actually a TikToker who I've come across recently and realized that we have kind of almost the exact same taste in books, and therefore I eat up every video she posts. And also, it helps me branch out and find new books that I know I'll like. However, we have read a lot of the same ones, which is also going to be hard for my book club episode and finding suggestions for her. But anyway, without further ado, please welcome at What Nestle Read. Welcome, Nestle. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. And oh my God, you're too kind. And also taste. Taste.
Compliments, compliments. So thank you so much for joining me. I have to ask first and foremost, what got you into social media and specifically talking about books on your social media? Because I also know you have gone to a lot of concerts, because I have done a deep dive of your TikTok.
Oh, wow.
And are a big music person and have seen a lot of people in concert and have a lot of, videos of that. So how did the transition go to books?
The trend, it was a long journey. I love a concert. They'll never be able to take that away from me. I would say that I have always been an internet girl. I was on Tumblr. I was on the blogs. I was a YouTube girl. I was never a Vine kid. I do feel like I missed out on that. I really do think I could have thrived during that moment. But then I was Twitter, never Facebook, MySpace, all the things, right? And I always was just like so interested about posting content, but I never wanted to post about my personal life because I do believe in boundaries. I am an oversharer, but something about putting it onto the internet for everyone to see, I don't know. I have to draw a line. So I had a moment where I said, oh, I want to partake because I think I'm interesting enough in the, I don't know, self-indulgence. I don't know. I was like, I can make content. Sure. What do I make content about? 2020, I decided a podcast. It was ramblings that should never see the light of day. And they were taken down. They weren't that bad, but 2020 me is not 2025 me.
Got it. Got it.
And then I kind of evolved to vlogs, and then I realized that I didn't really like recording my life. I like to live it and not record it. And then I said concerts, but then I have taken a step back from concerts because I went crazy. One year I went to 35 concerts in a year. My bank account hasn't quite recovered from that moment. So
I can imagine, based on some of the artists that I saw that you posted about, I was like, how much did that cost?
Too much. But I had such a good time. And I mean, Beyonce does, well, I don't know. Beyonce says she wants something from me on January 14th. We'll see.
As a birthday present?
As a birthday present, maybe. So then after that, I pivoted and I decided to get into books because one thing about me, I can't ever do a hobby like casually. I either commit to it and I go crazy or I don't do it at all. And that's kind of what happened with books. I decided to read and then I said, you know what? The girlies are posting about their books. I want to post. And here we are.
Yeah. No, and I love your content. I will say, even just like talking to you now, I enjoy your personality. Like, you're so funny, you're so personable and easy. Like, you're easygoing and easy to talk to and feel comfortable with, which I think then helps when you're like giving book suggestions to people, right? Like, you open up a space for people to feel comfortable to like watch your videos. I also think it's really nice because I haven't gotten comfortable yet really talking about books I've DNF'd or like don't like, and I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know. I feel very weird about it, right? But I think I've watched some of your videos where you're talking about the books that you love or the books that you're reading, and you're very concise and only say the most important things, but you say it with comedy or with personality. And it's like enough for me to know exactly what I'm getting into and whether or not I want to read it. And then the same goes for when you talk about the books you didn't like and why. It's never like you're shitting on the book. It's just like it obviously didn't fit to you. And I think that still allows people to want to read it, because our opinions are subjective. So I really appreciate that.
And I appreciate you saying that. I really tried to be mindful of like my recommendations and what I loved about a book and what I didn't love about the book, especially when it comes to like book recommendations. Like, I could tell you the plot of the book, but anybody can read the plot of the book. I love thinking about like the themes, like what are the major topics that a book is talking about or trying to convey. And especially with DNFs, I will say I'm a hater to my core. Love being a hater, but I do think that we need to be concise and mindful because someone did put the effort of creating a book. And what one man's trash might be another man's treasure. Why my 1-star book might be someone's 5-star. And I love that for you. I'm still gonna say why I don't like that book. And if you love that book, Love that.
Yeah, no, 100%. Now, my first question is going to be, how do you pick what you want to talk about, and then with that, what you want to read? I know you've said on your content that you're a mood reader. So kind of how are you going into 2025, and then how have you gone in the past?
Oh, I think I might be evolving from a mood reader.
Oh,
Because now, so I'm a mood reader in the sense that I have now been able to discern what I like. I love books about the human connection. I love books that kind of have a social commentary to it. And that's my mood. And every once in a while, I'll be able to like dabble into like like a funny romance book, like a
okay.
really off-topic book, because I can't do the human condition book after book after book. I get a little
Yeah.
depressed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
sense, I just kind of try to I'm like, what do I feel like tackling? Like right now, I've been really interested in like community and like girlhood. So I've been gravitating.
Hmm.
So I guess like my books kind of mood in the sense of like what's the topic that I'm kind of interested in right now. So
Yeah.
like society, girlhood. I've been really into girlhood
Hmm.
recently. And it's kind of been reflecting in the books that I have been picking up.
Oh, I like that though. And you also do a bunch of lives on TikTok.
Oh, I
Can you
love a
walk us
TikTok live.
through that?
Yes. So one day I don't know what kind of spawned this because I was never really a person that watched TikTok lives. And I said, you know what? So here's my thing. I love to read, and I typically read during the workday because I'm an audiobook girl. Yeah, I pop a little audiobook in, I tap, tap, tap away, listen to my book. And I wanted to get better at listening to my books out of work. I needed to be convinced. So I was like, what if I sit here in this exact corner, turn on live, and then like tandem read? Because I also wanted to get better at reading my physical books. I have a lot of physical books and I listen to the audio, but I have the physical book. But I am going to turn on that audio if given the opportunity. So I
Hmm.
decided to prop myself up. We're gonna go on TikTok Live. And at first, that was the most awkward thing because nobody joined. So I'm just staring into the void with one person that would maybe pop in, and they're just popping in. They're like, there's nobody here, nobody's talking to her. She's weird. Goodbye.
Yeah.
But the more you do it, like the more people start to come. So then I created like this little community of like the girlies that come on my TikTok lives, and we just have a good time. We talk about books, we talk about what's going on in like the book talk community, or sometimes I'm just getting ready. And we might talk about a book here and there, but like I don't know, sometimes I'm like, let's do it, get ready with me.
But it's like a
Yeah.
lot more of your personality and a lot more of the quick wit and everything that you have. So yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I try, and maybe it's still like a learning process. I have only been creating content, hasn't even been a year. I became a reader officially 2023 because I decided I wanted to be a reader. I was going to read 12 books. I said, okay, the only way to hold myself accountable, I started a book club. So I started a book club, got myself so then I was like, okay, once a month, then I'll read 12
Yeah.
books. Halfway into the reading journey, I was like, okay, well now I was on my way to like 30 books. I was like, this is crazy. And none of my friends were reading the book. So I said, okay, let me start posting on TikTok. And then that is kind of how I ended up. I don't even know how I got here. So then I would say like it's been maybe April, May will be a year. So I really think that I'm growing and getting more
Hmm.
comfortable. And now I'm trying to be able to find a way to be concise and
Hmm.
like give people just information, because a lot of it I really care about diversifying people's reading, especially like with authors of color, Black authors, especially in the literary fiction genre. I feel like you go on TikTok, you look up literary fiction books, you do get the Sally Rooney's, which I'm a mixed feelings on Sally Rooney. Well,
Hmm.
we could come back to that at a later date. But there's like so many other books, and like I found
Yeah.
that I really had to dig to find authors of color, like different books. So now I just
Hmm.
make it really apparent. So I'm like, okay, I need to get this information out. This is like the
Hmm.
most important thing for me. But also, I think I'm fun. So how can I incorporate both?
Yeah. Like when you're thinking about it now, is it how much thought really goes into like posting what you're going to post, and does that bleed into what you're reading, and like where does the line between it being like a hobby and being a little bit more work?
That is a fabulous question. I think it depends on, so my rhyme and reasoning for posting, And my thought process is if I get an idea, I execute and I just have to do it. I have to record it in that moment. I have never been a
Mhm.
batch recorder because then I find that I feel the most like robotic. Like I'm not able to just be like, okay, this is the topic. I've been planning this out and now we're going to sit here and just like be off the cuff and relax with it. Doesn't work for me. So I will have a list of content ideas in the moment that I feel like, okay, Nestle, you feel you're in a good mood to talk about some ins and outs. You're a little sassy. You're a
Mhm.
little fun right now. Let's record your ins and outs. Let's talk about that. So it kind of depends on the topic. If I have some bookish related things that aren't exactly like recommendation or just like a list of things, then I feel like I'm able to really play around with my personality, let it shine, be a little bit more sassy, throw in a joke or two. And I
Mhm.
really try not to think much about it because just I just say things. That that is really my personality. And sometimes I'm like, let's walk that one back. Or like maybe they're not quite ready for that, but
Mhm.
that's totally fine. But then if it's something where I'm just like, I have a bunch of recommendations that I want to get out to people, I'm definitely more methodical. I make sure that I'm like, you one sentence and how much information and useful
Yeah.
information can I get in that one sentence? Because we're going to fly through this book, through this list. I want you guys to read and watch the whole thing. If it's
Yeah.
3 minutes, you're not going to do that. So I have
Yeah.
to make sure that I am intentional about that.
That's so
And
number
actually,
one. That's
I
so,
just keep picking expensive hobbies. I thought books would be a cheap hobby. And then I said, oh, reading books and buying books are actually two different hobbies.
those
I
are two different
actually should
hobbies.
walk one back. I need to walk back
Mhm.
the buying ones, but
Yes.
I'm on a book buying ban. So everybody hold me to that.
Especially hardbacks. Oh my.
But at the same time, the paperbacks are costing just as much. What's going on here?
I don't like it. But
That's fine.
I do want to transition into some more interpersonal questions. So,
Okay.
can you give me your definition of happiness and what are some things that make you happy? And then more importantly, have the things that make you happy now always made you happy?
Oh my gosh, my definition of happiness. That is such a good question and that I am feel like I'm still working through. So I'll
Okay.
go into what makes me happy. I feel like community makes me happy. I love introspection. I like to journal. I like to think about myself and how my life impacts others around me, which
Mm.
could be sad, but I think could be sad in some ways, but I
Mm-hmm.
think that level of self-awareness makes me joyful because I feel like sometimes that's a lost art. And it makes me want to appreciate life's moments a little bit more. My family makes me happy, music makes me happy, and community. Those would be my big three.
Now,
Yeah.
what are some things that you're most proud of about yourself?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Fabulous questions. Really appreciate it. What am I most proud of? I feel like I have honed in on being authentically myself, and I
Mm.
have really fought with myself when it comes to wanting to be understood because I have always just been a little slightly different. A little off. And there was a period of time growing up where I really wanted people to understand me. And I've gotten to the point where I have just accepted that the girls that get it, and the don't, those that don't. And that's perfectly okay. And being authentically myself is so much better than like putting on a front because I can't keep it up. It's gonna
Yeah.
shake eventually. Yeah, no, it's tough. There are definitely instances where I do have like this craving of being liked. And like I've had similar experiences where I've been in a room and sometimes I'm just like, let me put on my best me. Like I'm on a date with someone. You're gonna get the best version of Nestle. I'm doing a comedy special. I am giving
Yes.
you the best performance of my life
Yes.
because I'm just like, why wouldn't you like me? But
Yes.
and I still feel that way. I
Mm-hmm.
do still
Mm-hmm.
feel that way. But I have accepted that just I just might not be everyone's cup of tea, and
Mm-hmm.
that's perfectly okay. Dare I say they have bad taste? That's neither here nor there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. And I remember my mom telling me once, like, there are some people who put on a performance and constantly walk into a room like they're the main stage act and you're supposed to be in their audience. And that doesn't always like work for you. And I've started kind of noticing different types of people. And I think like that's one instance where if there's a room full of people where you're not heard, you're not seen because somebody's so busy talking about themselves, like they're not for me. Cause I do think it's
Yeah.
like a give and take in community and relationships. But I am the main character. That's
Yeah, and I feel like everyone should. You should have main character moments. So if I'm,
yes.
and I have had moments where I walk into the room and I'm like, you know what? Today's the day that I am putting on a show. But I, and in that moment, I'm like, okay, this is the me time. This is the Nestle
Hmm.
show.
Hmm.
But I am able to say, I'm like, we're gonna take a step back because I'm also someone who I can be rather reserved and like just sit in the corner and just watch other people. I love seeing how other people interact and talk amongst themselves. So it's interesting because a lot of my friends and people that I come across, they'll say there's like she has range because sometimes they'll first meet me and 9 times out of 10, unless I'm like fully with one other person, I'm usually like my best and my personality comes out the most when I'm just like having one-on-one conversation. In a
Hmm.
group setting, if I don't know most people, I am typically rather reserved. And I keep to myself, or maybe I'll find one individual person to talk to. So a lot of people say, wow, they'll be surprised like
Yeah,
when the
yeah,
personality comes out and they're like, oh, I thought you were quiet. I was like, oh, nothing about me gave quiet.
yeah. So what are you pursuing in this chapter of your life?
Ooh, what am I pursuing in this chapter of my life? Oh, fabulous. I would say this is my year of refinement. This is the word that I come up for myself. Last year was
Like that word.
discovery. I wanted to try new things, and do new things.
Hmm.
And now I'm turning 29 on January 11th. So now I'm in my last year of my 20s, and I feel as though I am at like 95 of like the Nestle. So the next 5% over the next year in a couple days would be refining every piece of myself that I feel as though could just use a little tweak. So I have a bingo
Mm,
card, the things that I'm working on. It's been really
love that.
fun. And that is really my priority is refining who I am and who I want to be.
That's a great word.
Thank you.
That is a great word.
Do you have a word for the year? Are you a
No,
word person?
no, but I should be.
That's very surprising.
No. Yeah.
As knowing that you're a Capricorn, I'm just like, you
Yeah.
don't have a word? Do you have goals?
Mm-mm. Yeah, I usually just have like a lot of things,
Okay,
like a bigger list than like a word. I did
fair.
for a long time. I always said I wanted to be bold because I have like
Mm.
so much anxiety about everything. But I
Being
like
bold is hard.
it's hard and it's like, maybe that's just not who I am. What would you do if you knew you wouldn't fail?
What would I do if I knew I wouldn't fail? I I think content. I really do think content. And unfortunately for me, it's not a fail. Fear of failure has never been my issue. It's the fear of starting because every there things just it just feels cringe. Like posting on Instagram feels cringe. Posting on TikTok at first when you have 0 followers because you have to post as if you have a bunch of followers. Otherwise, people are never going to be tuned in.
Yes.
So, and when you're doing that with 2 likes, nothing more
Yes.
humbling. Nothing more.
Yes.
So I think if I knew I wasn't going to fail, maybe like booktube probably because I have really wanted to do it. YouTube has been a place that I've really enjoyed,
Yep.
but it takes up a lot of time, the editing,
Yes.
and I'm a perfectionist. If I'm going to start something, I need to do it right. They always said, you can just start. You know how long it took me to do that and commit to that with Book Talk? They're just like, Put your phone up." And I'm
Mhm.
just like, yeah, but I don't love my camera quality. I need to buy another camera. No, I don't. No, financially, no, I don't. So I think that would be it.
Yes.
But I'm
Yes.
just like a difficult person when it comes to starting because you have to start somewhere. And I hate that,
Yeah, yeah,
actually.
yeah. Yeah, that's a good one though, because I do agree. It's like I think I started when I started posting on Book Talk, it was specifically videos that didn't have me in it. So it was like
Mm,
music and then the covers of books and words written, and it was great. And then when I started doing videos of my face and like me talking, suddenly I got really nervous and I got really nervous about my opinions, which we'll
yes.
share every day, all day to everybody. But putting them on a platform like that, even about a book, felt like there are moments now where I have to kind of take a step back and be like, it's okay that you didn't like this book or that it like
Yes.
didn't. you know, and like be okay with saying that. And I think that's really hard.
Um, be, being a person that creates content online, especially if you create content with your face and you having any sort of negative opinion, even though like you could be the most tasteful about the
Yeah.
opinion, there will be someone in the comments that is just like, I can't believe you hate this book. This is my favorite book.
Yeah.
You don't have any taste. And I'm just like, okay, I still don't like the book. Now what?
Yeah.
Y-
Also, before we end this episode, I have figured out my word,
Okay, let's hear it.
self assured.
Ooh, love. Love it.
That's going to be my word this year because it's always
Yes.
been like be bold. I like your word of refinement. And I was thinking, and I was like, self assured. I want to be self assured in every situation that I'm in and go into it with that.
I love that.
Okay.
That's a really good word.
I'm glad. Thank God. I was like, this is going to keep me up at night. Like,
I was gonna
I'm
say
going to,
you were thinking about this, weren't you?
I was multitasking like you've never seen. I was sitting here doing a Rolodex of every word I know in any language,
You're
going,
like,
what
let
can it
me go
be?
through my SAT. Like, what did I learn?
Literally. So self assured. That's going to be my word.
Perfect.
Nestle, thank you so much for being here. This has been, I mean, time flew. Like I have
I
a timer and I'm
know.
like, how did we make the time already? It's crazy.
We
But
can talk.
we can, but luckily we have a book club episode coming up.
Yes.
So that's good. Now, where can everybody find you?
People can find me on Bookstagram and Book Talk at What Nestle Read.